So here's my number. Call me bros maybe. Welcome to the Me Bro Sports Show. I'm the oldest bro, Scott Meberg.
I'm the middle bro, Kurt Meberg.
And I'm the youngest bro, Brett Meberg, and I'm currently advocating for us to restart the podcast and get a new song in here. We're three brothers chatting about sports and other stuff, and today we're going to be discussing weeks 14 and 15 of the NFL, plus previewing the CFB playoffs. Kurt, why don't you take us to our college corner right now?
Yeah, so this past weekend, we're recording this on Friday night, December 12th. So this past weekend, the College Football Playoff Committee had some controversial decisions made, but they did, in fact, give us a college football playoff bracket. So the bracket is now set. We see the games that are going to be happening. The first round games will not be this weekend. They'll be actually coming next weekend. What first round games are you guys interested in? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I'm not that excited in these first round matchups. Alabama and Oklahoma already played this year, so I guess I have to go with Miami and Texas A&M. Um, it's two teams that were legitimately good this year. Had good overall records. Miami, we can talk about the weird selection thing, but I think they ultimately deserve to be in here, and they'll give Texas a good game. Um, I don't think that James Madison and Tulane are going to be interesting games. I'm not interested in watching those. Brett, what do you think?
I feel like I have to go with the Oklahoma versus Alabama, and being an NFL fan, I would say I'm really on Ty Simpson watch. He's looked a little bit rougher over the last few weeks here, and he was missing some really easy throws against Georgia. So I'm definitely interested in watching Oklahoma versus Alabama.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. Oregon, James Madison, I don't think it'll be super interesting. Oregon, they still have a couple key players out. I don't think they're going to bother rushing them back for this game. Uh, Tulane, Ole Miss, they played earlier this year, and Ole Miss beat them 45-10. Rematch of that. Tulane, I think, is a decent team, and I think it'll probably be closer than that game was. But their coach is now moving on to coach at Florida, so I just Ole Miss's coach is gone as well. I
Yeah, I
get
was gonna
that,
say.
but maybe not the equalizer, but
Yeah,
I I
we're going
think
off
that
of
either
that.
either way, that game probably won't be that close. But Miami, Texas A&M, I do think that'll be an interesting game. That's two quarterbacks who could definitely throw the game away at any point in time. Marcel Reed and Carson Beck, they can throw interceptions like nobody else. And then Alabama, Oklahoma, I would love to see Alabama. I don't really like Alabama, but I've been saying all year that Oklahoma has luck boxed their way into some wins with some turnover luck, games they just don't really deserve to win. I would actually say that they're the worst team in this playoff, not named Tulane or James Madison. So I just want to see myself vindicated in that. So I would love Alabama to come out and beat the brakes off of Oklahoma here.
Yeah, Alabama, even in their last game against Georgia, didn't look that good. Oklahoma, you mentioned they've had some turnover luck, but Alabama had some pretty lucky turnovers, and they had that against Tennessee. They had the big interception that everybody saw a million times right near the goal line. The game that I think I'm most excited about actually is whoever comes out of this matchup and plays Indiana, because I think Indiana is a good team. They beat Ohio State, and it was a close game. And I'd be interested to see whether they can really beat the brakes off one of these teams that are good but flawed. And that's the second round matchup that I'm most interested in.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that'll be interesting. It was impressive to me. I really thought that Ohio State would come out and handle Indiana pretty easily in the Big Ten championship game, and that wasn't the case. Indiana, like I thought that Indiana might be able to do, a little bit of something on both sides of the ball, but I just thought that their lines of scrimmage wouldn't really hold up. But they were getting a lot of pressure on Julian Sayin. Their defensive line was, and their offensive line, it was struggling a little bit, but holding up maybe a little bit better than I thought it would against a really good Ohio State defense. I mean, it was a pretty defensive game, but Indiana was impressive. So I agree. Like that's probably the best. Either that or the Texas Tech Oregon one. I think that could be interesting. I'm interested to see what Texas Tech will look like playing a good team because they really haven't played many good teams all year.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of this game. have to say, like you said, it was a defensive matchup. Indiana didn't dominate Ohio State, didn't blow them off the field, but they did just enough to win. And teams that can do that more times than they lose them are the teams that ultimately win championships. Um, I have to say though, I had not seen Fernando Mendoza talk before that post game interview, and that man has negative aura. We're the flipping champions. Oh my gosh! Like I was hearing about this big prospect. He's going to be a Heisman favorite. He's led this team to undefeated conference championships, the worst team in college football to now the first team in the Big Ten. And he sounds like a seventh grade youth group kid. I don't know. I'm a little bit scared if I'm an NFL GM.
All I gotta say is, have you heard Patrick Mahomes speak?
I've heard it.
Yeah, I don't know that Fernando Mendoza has a lot of aura, but I do think his conferences could be a little bit interesting. But we can talk about some of these other games. As the first round games are played, we can maybe talk about more of the second round games. But I did want to go into a little bit the actual college football playoff committee
Yeah.
and the way that these teams were chosen. We are a little bit late to the party. All of it's been talked out. How Notre Dame got screwed out of the playoff, how Alabama lost their conference championship game and didn't drop a spot, but BYU lost as well and they dropped 2 spots. How does that make sense?
The whole ACC conference champion debacle where Duke wins, they're an 8-5 team, and so they don't get in, and Miami does get in because we got to have someone from the ACC. A lot of nonsense going on in those playoff selections.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing here is I do think that this is probably the right teams that they got in the playoffs. Like Miami probably deserves to be in over Notre Dame. They do have the head-to-head matchup. If you actually look at their resumes, they're pretty similar, and that head-to-head matchup, that's the tiebreaker. I get it. I don't really have a problem with Miami being in over Notre Dame. But it's the way that it happened.
Yeah.
It's just kind of ridiculous for them to be behind Notre Dame going into the rankings last week. And then, with neither team playing, they decide to jump them over top of them. Nothing has changed with either team's resume. Like, if you were going to make this jump, make it last week. Make it the week before. Like, there's no reason you couldn't do that. And people would have been upset then, but it wouldn't have been as big of a deal.
No.
But now, when you're doing it the last second, and it just looks like you're trying to get an ACC team in because of TV ratings, TV deals, like, it just looks corrupt. It's such a bad look, I think. And then, like, honestly, I think there's 2 options. You could have just left it as is. If you had left Notre Dame in, there would have been some people mad saying Miami has the head-to-head win, but you know what? At least you had your rankings and you stuck to them. I don't think there would have been too much uproar. Or you jump them over them and you say, hey, look, we made a mistake. We should have had them ahead of them before. And, when we really looked at it, we did. But no, they're not going to admit to making a mistake because that would be terrible. Why would we ever admit to making a mistake these days? Nope, can't do that. On this podcast, we are allowed to make mistakes and allowed to admit when we make those mistakes.
We do it
We
often.
make them often.
Frequently.
So, like, just come out, Hunter Yurachek, committee chair, like, just come out and say, yeah, you know what? We made a mistake. We're fixing our mistake. And, like, it would have been maybe still annoying, but people would have had a little bit of respect for them when they say, oh, well, once you get those 2 teams back to back, then the head-to-head becomes a real deciding factor. No, like, this is just garbage. Like, just admit what you did.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest issue really is including Tulane and James Madison, who are their conference championships. They went 11-2, 12-1, so they're good teams. But you have them ranked 20th and 24th. We all know that they're going to be a long shot to even make it past the first round and a miracle if they do anything in the second. So just give the 12 playoff spots to the top 12 teams in your rankings. Like, you don't need to make this too complicated. Include Notre Dame, include BYU. People will fuss, but that seems like the fair thing to do.
And that's fine. They didn't have the choice to do that this year, obviously, because the way the rules are set up, they had to give those automatic buys to those teams. But I don't have a problem with that. If that is a better way to do it, so we're going to get good teams in, that's fine. We can talk about that. And so with that being said, I did think that maybe what we should do here is each of us can take a chance and say, how would we fix college football and the college football playoff? How would we make sure that the right teams get in there and make sure college football is competitive for everybody and interesting to watch for everybody? So, Brett, what would you do to fix college football and the playoff?
This isn't specifically about the playoffs, but this is fixing college football, because I do feel like college football is at a almost breaking point right now with NIL and just the amount that boosters are putting out right now in terms of money to pay players is crazy, and I think we're gonna hit a breaking point soon where boosters are just gonna say, "Yeah, I'm just sick of giving this amount of money." Like, Troy Aikman already came out and said that he is done with paying NIL players any money, from his own pocket because he had a UCLA quarterback that came and then just left after a year after we paid him a bunch of money. It's like he just paid for 1 year and then he doesn't even, like, get to see any fruit of it. So, Aikman already came out, he said he's doing that. Boosters are gonna keep dropping like flies because they're just gonna get sick of paying money. A lot of rich people don't like giving money away. Some do, but a lot don't. So, fixing the whole NIL system, there's a lot of ideas. I haven't actually seen this specific idea, and I'm sure someone's put it out there, but I'm going to claim it as my own. Um, we have to put caps on paying specific players. I'm not in favor of a salary cap for teams, but specific players, salary cap. What I mean is a first year player, let's say 200K. If they are a freshman coming out of high school, 200K. Second year, 400K. You can play with the numbers if you want, 250, 500. Third year, whatever, 600, 750. Fourth year, a million. And then if they want to do whatever, fifth year, whatever, 1.25. So you just like tier it. So if you are another year of seniority, you can get paid a little bit more. But we do not need to be handing out $7, $8 million to a quarterback. Like, we don't need to do that. Cap them off.
I mean, here's my counter argument to that. Quarterbacks in the NFL make the most money. They are the most important players on the football field. I think we can all agree to that. So I like your idea. I do like some sort of capping system for players, but I think it should be position specific. So a quarterback in his first year could make $1 million if he's a starter. And then second year he can make 2 million, 2.5, whatever, then 5, then 10. Like, we can adjust the numbers and we'll have to have the salary cap moving with inflation and the economy and all that. Other than that, I do like the idea. I think it's a good way to make the college football teams a lot more fair, and make sure that the flow of recruits is going to keep teams even and competitive overall. Kurt, do you have any thoughts on that?
I do have a counter to your counter.
Okay.
There's with your position thing, I think there's gonna be a lot of players almost weirdly playing, like, out of positions so they can classify differently. Because in high school, you have a lot of, like, athletes in it, so if the wide receiver scale is higher than the cornerback scale, players are gonna say, "Oh, yeah, I'm actually a wide receiver." Or you have, like, a safety who's gonna just take a few edge reps, and he's like, "I'm an edge, sorry." Like, so that might be my only counter, but, yeah, I think it's a good idea, and it's an idea I've been tweaking over the years. Originally, I thought like 1 star gets a certain amount, 2 star gets a certain amount, 3 star gets a certain amount, but then, yeah. So I've been tweaking this. This is an idea that's been well formed.
See, I would actually definitely disagree with that. I don't think that's a good idea
Okay.
because here's the thing. The problem is then you're going to have the big teams with a whole bunch of money. They can just do a max contract, every single player they want, max contract offer all of them. And you're going to have those big name teams that are all going to get those good players, which is kind of what happens now. But here's what I think should happen. And part of the problem is this does make it kind of just like the NFL. And I know that's what college fans don't really want, but there is a reason why the NFL is the way it is and why it kind of works. I think you have to do team salary caps and you have to set it low. Like, I'm talking very low, maybe $2-3 million. I'm in favor of paying players. And I don't know that people will go for this because, I mean, now that the cat's out of the bag, Like, I don't know that you can put that money back in there. But here's the thing. If you make it really low, then the big schools are not going to be able to offer like a quarterback $2-3 million a year. They have to fill an entire roster. But hey, what if Memphis wants to spend their entire budget to go get the number one quarterback in the nation? They can go get the number one quarterback in the nation and put all $3 million on him and just have scrubs for the entire rest of the roster. But I think that could at least make things a little bit interesting and spread out the talent a little bit more. And the problem is, too, with the transfer portal, guys can just leave right away. You know, they're at a team that's not as good. They can leave immediately, and so they can go get more money elsewhere. I think what you have to do is, as part of the NIL, they have to also sign a contract. If they are going to get that money, there's a certain amount of years. If they want to sign for $1 million for 1 year, that's fine. And then they can hit the portal after that. But if they maybe want more money, maybe they can sign for $4 million for 2 years. They're making more money, but they're locked in for 2 years. They cannot hit the transfer portal. I think that could solve some problems as well.
So here is why I was originally a salary cap guy. I was advocating for that, but here's why I've switched away from the salary cap. I think we had a problem in college football for many years, and many former coaches have talked about this, that players were already getting paid. And we've heard of that time and time again. Players were already getting paid. And so if you install a salary cap, those top teams are still just going to pay players more. Whereas if it's like actually a system of like player by player, just first year you get a base amount, then I think there would be less of like going backdoor, giving them some money, because it's like, oh, I'm a first year, I'm set to get this amount of money. And I would say that maybe just set the amounts lower. So maybe instead of 200K, make it 100K, 50K for a first year player. Like, do it that way if you want to make it more even. But I'm scared of the salary cap.
I think both of those have the same problem that you identified, Brett. If you put a hard limit on it, and some quarterbacks, some teams, whatever, are able to pay more or to get more money elsewhere because someone's circumventing the salary cap, it's still going to happen. I think that you could do it maybe by percentage of snaps played or something like that. So if you're a first year, but you're actually the starter, then maybe you get more money overall and more, more open to endorsements and that sort of thing. Um, I think that setting the salary cap low just opens it up to um, teams can now pay the coaches millions and millions, and so the best coaches go to wherever the biggest pocketbooks are, or the facilities are better. Like there's so much money in college football, you can't suck the money out. You just need to make sure that it's spread around in a fairer way, I think.
Yeah, I think that was already happening, though. Like, the money was already spread around. I don't like the good coaches are going to the big schools with more money. They're getting paid more. The big schools are going to have bigger facilities. And I do agree. Like, that is an issue. Players were getting paid before, and they'll probably get paid again behind closed doors. But that'd be the same issue, like you said, if you're doing a per player salary cap. Like, maybe there just needs to be, I don't know how you would do it with, 130 teams, however many there are exactly. I don't know how you would regulate it and make sure those backdoor payments weren't happening. Like, that's very hard to regulate. I get that. So I don't know how you do that, but I think maybe that would be the only way you could do it to try to make it fair. But my solution is less about college football and more specifically about the playoff. And I think it's just something that, you know what, people can get mad at a committee all they want because that's real people. But what you can't really get mad at is just a mathematical. I mean, you can get mad at it, and people would for sure.
That's
But
where
it's a
you're wrong.
mathematical formula, okay?
Anger is unlimited.
I'm proposing that you create a mathematical formula basically comprised of all the top like power rating systems that rank college football teams. So you've got like FPI, Sagarin, SP Plus, some of the different power rating systems, and then also taking the human element of it too. Use the coaches poll, the AP poll, like take in those rankings
You can
and
keep
where
the college football playoff committee. Just throw them a bone. Give them like a 10% of the formula or whatever.
I mean, you could, but there's no
Just phase
point to
them out
have
slowly.
like the only reason they exist. Like we don't need to talk about that, but the only reason they exist is for ESPN to have a TV show weekly for a little while that people can watch. That's the only reason they exist.
And they could keep that. That's
Like,
what I'm saying.
yeah, I guess if they want to, they can have their little percentage of these mathematical formula to weight it a little bit if they want to. Sure, fine, whatever. I don't really care that much. But I think that way, if you have a formula, you can see obviously like this is where this team is rated. Oh, this team jumped this team. Well, it's because they played and beat this team by this much. Like strength of schedule is going to matter. All those things, like no mathematical formula is perfect. I get that. And that's why I do think you combine all those things together, you're going to get a little bit of a combination, and then you also have the human element with the coaches poll, the AP poll. You're going to get something that's probably a little bit more fair. Now, I do understand that the one biggest issue, in my opinion, with this is you're going to basically encourage teams to have massive blowouts. Because that is one thing that inflates your numbers with the mathematical formulas, the FPI, Sager, and stuff like that. Like Notre Dame is actually ranked really high in those because they did have some games where they won by a ton of points. So you're going to have teams doing kind of a crappy schedule. They're non-conference, just scheduling crappy teams so they can run up the points and boost their rankings in those formulas. But with the expenditure of different conferences and more teams being played, like the SEC is going to a 9-game schedule instead of 8 games. I do think that'll help even things out a little bit, and you won't just be able to beat up on bad teams to boost your rankings a little bit. What do you guys think about that idea?
I think the formulas should account for strength of schedule, and then I'm sure they could also tweak it to account like if you have a 30-point blowout versus a 56-point blowout, it's like it's not really the same. Like it's the same thing. Like whatever, they blew them out. Um, my second thing that I actually do really like about this, I would love for these rankings to be updated instantaneously on a website for everyone to see. So you actually have a website that is constantly drawing traffic to the website, because you're constantly looking for the next rankings update. It's like, boom, Indiana just beat Ohio State by 1 point. Let's see. I mean, obviously this year is like, well, obviously they're going to jump them, but it's like Alabama just beat Georgia. Okay, let's see an instantaneous ranking update. And then it doesn't account for the AP poll or the coaches poll yet, but boom, you got the math already in there.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me that basically what you want is college football AI, some all-powerful computer model to take in all the available information and put it on a website, constantly running simulations over and over, millions of simulations every second with all the information possible, and spit out in real time which teams are the best at any given moment as the games are happening. Include Polymarket, include all the betting markets, live lines, Vegas, everything. Just put it in there and we get the ultimate college football knowledge machine.
I do like the while the games are happening. I didn't think about that, but boom, Alabama scores a touchdown, rankings jump. Imagine the first week of the season, they're just ping ponging, it's just going crazy as the
Maybe
games
we'll
are
develop this
happening.
site. Maybe we'll develop it and just have our own site, and we'll sell ads watching. I don't know. I'm not a coder. I don't know how to do that, but
I'm
maybe
gonna
we can figure
ask
it out.
ChatGPT to make me this AI
I
model,
was
and I'll just run
I
it
was gonna
through
say, I don't have that
OpenAI.
skill, but I do know a guy.
I like the idea. I think it's certainly a better way than just giving a bunch of people in a room all powerful, making all powerful decisions with no real oversight or argument. Or people are fallible. Let's get as many people through as many sources and figure out how this thing actually goes.
Yeah, and I do think the games have to matter. Like obviously, like at the end of the day, I don't think you just crown the national championship by who's rated number 1 at the
No,
end of the season or anything like that. Like obviously you still play a playoffs and everything, but this just helps us get a bracket, get a seeding, get the best teams in there. That's all I'm saying.
I like it. I like it a lot. My idea, I do think we need some more games. The quick fix, just like the next 2-3 years, is we need an extra round of conference championships. I mentioned this last week. There's no reason why this Saturday the only game I have is Army and Navy. And I could go on a whole rant about that, the military industrial complex taking over our college football, but we don't need to get into it. I think we use this weekend as the actual conference championships, and last weekend should have been the conference championship semifinals. Long term, though, we need to make the conferences bigger. We need to have different tiers. So I think we could take the best teams from the SEC, get some teams in from the Big 12 there, the Southern teams, Texas, Houston, Arizona, all those ones. And ultimately, we get a 30 team ish Northern Conference, a 30 team ish Southern Conference. and then all the other
I call
teams.
this the Civil War playoff.
The Civil War playoff will reenact it. We'll have lots of music and patriotism, and we can all get our aggressions out on the field in a healthy adult manner. Get our competitive spirit, and there'll be no name calling, nothing rude happening, just good competitive football, people. But yeah, we
Yeah,
get
nothing bad would happen when you have two conferences and name it the Civil War the
well,
Civil
we
War
wouldn't
playoff.
name it the Civil War Conference, but the implication would be there.
No East versus West. I do think the South would be a lot better than North. Is my
I
main
mean, if you look
critique.
this year, Indiana and Ohio State would have the two best teams. They'd be the Northern
I guess
champions. Oregon's up there in the North. And,
historically,
money moves around. We can draw the border where we need to draw the border to classify some of these teams as Northern if it helps bump things up. And then, so we've got those top 60 teams, and then the next tier of teams, the James Madisons and Tulanes, if you will, can go into that lower conference, and then the top couple teams maybe bump up. We do relegation, that sort of thing. I think that the money and the players and the coaches and everything is starting to consolidate already. All these, the Big Ten has like 18 teams. The Big 12 has like 16 or something. None of the numbers, none of the conferences make any sense. It's time for one big, complete realignment. We'll get the playoffs out of each conference, and then we have our big North versus South Civil War Bowl at the New Year's Day. Who knows? Maybe there's some big revolutionary or Civil War battle right around the holidays we can commemorate every year. We'll figure this thing out, but I think that's my idea of how we really spice up college football.
I think the main complaint that people would have about this is it's the NFL.
Yeah,
It's
I think that's the problem is that basically, yeah, you've now created the AFC, the NFC, maybe put some divisions in there. You're just gonna have the winner playing each other, and yeah, it's basically the NFL. And the thing people love about college is the regional rivalries, and the this team against this team. They're maybe not in the same conference or whatever, but they play every year, and it's a heated rivalry, whatever. And that kind of takes it away. It just makes it one big conglomeration.
We would make sure all that happens. All those rivalries, we're still going to get the Iron Bowl every year. We're just going to make it fit in within this larger system, add a few games at the beginning and the end, and expand the games and the season a bit more so that we can make sure that we really get the best teams out of both of these mega conferences.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with it, but I do think that a lot of college football fans would say it's kind of taking away from what the essence of college football really is.
I- I'm not super tuned into college football fandom. If there's any fans that have thoughts about this, please do leave me a comment, send us an email, tell me why I'm right or wrong. But we can move to the NFL if you guys are all right with that. Last week was historic on the Me Bros podcast. Three bros picked one game each, and all of us were correct in our picks of the week. I picked the Bills to beat the
incredible.
Bengals. Kurt, you were confident that the Bengals were going to win out, and it was a snowy, tough game for Joe Burrow, but the Bills did get it done, and I was right.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Cincinnati actually led most of the game, and Joey Burr was lighting it up in the cold, even though he may have been shivering. But he went from really hot to really not at the end of the game, throwing a couple
He,
bad interceptions. I mean, they weren't like terrible interceptions,
he
I
went
guess,
from
but
really hot to I don't know if I want to play football anymore.
Really hot to
yeah,
really cold, guys. That's what we're talking about. It was freezing. He got cold.
I just said cold though. Really hot to really not, I think sounded a little better.
That's it.
But anyway,
Really
through
hot to
through
retirement. That's
two
where he
two
got.
late interceptions to basically throw the game away, unfortunately. The Bills outscored the Bengals 21-13 in the fourth quarter, and that was the difference in the game. But I thought the Bengals could pull this one out, and they had a real chance to do so. My hot take was that they were going to win out, and obviously they are not winning out now. They could still make the playoffs by winning that division, but the chances went from slim to none, and none just left the building.
Is that 3 weeks in a row Kurt's wrong? Just want to update our boards here.
No, my pick was correct. It was my pick on somebody else's pick that was wrong this
Oh,
time.
right. Sorry. My bad.
My
my bad.
actual pick was Bears-Packers, so
Yeah,
we can
let's
talk
talk
about it,
about
right?
that
I was
game.
right.
I remember this.
Yeah, the Bears played the Packers, and I was right. That's all you need to know. I honestly didn't really watch very much of this game.
It was a game. It was not much to watch.
Yeah, it really wasn't that interesting. Like I saw a little bit of it, but the Packers have been looking pretty good. The Bears have also looked good lately. I mean, they beat the Eagles, but I mean, we can talk about the Eagles. That's not looking like as good of a win as it may have more recently. And the Packers are, I don't know, they've been really inconsistent, but maybe they're starting to turn the corner a little bit here from they started the season really good, kind of slowed down in the middle there, lost, to the Panthers, the Browns. Don't know what happened there, but last couple weeks they picked it up again. So hopefully they're back in the form I need them to be in to make the Super Bowl, because I did pick that at the beginning of the year.
I picked the Texans over the Chiefs. I said last week this was probably my easiest pick of the year. The Chiefs were actually favored by 3, and I'll get to that a little bit later as well. But we have to stop doing this with the Chiefs. They're not the Chiefs that we've seen the last 5 years. They have fallen off a cliff, and they're off the cliff at the bottom. We need to stop saying, "Oh, yep, Chiefs favored again." Like they were never going to beat the Texans, and they didn't, and it was pretty obvious to me.
They had some chances in that game. They just had so many drops. I texted you guys at one point. I was watching the game, and Mahomes had 9 straight incompleted or dropped or like intercepted passes in a row, and then he threw his 10th an interception that Travis Kelsey literally like caught and threw over his shoulder to the defender. Just
It
one
was
of
very
the
bad.
ugliest receiver interceptions I've ever seen. Uh, they could have won this game if they played better and didn't drop all those balls. Like they had the opportunities, but this season, you're right, they're just not taking advantage of the opportunities they have.
Yeah, and the Texans are starting to look a little bit better. I mean, I don't know what their win streak is right now, but they've definitely heated up.
It's
And
like
that
8 or
defense
9.
is really, really good enough that it can keep them in any game. The problem is the offense is also bad enough that it can take them out of any game. So you don't know what's going to happen. But I mean, it was good enough to get this one done against a decent Kansas City Chiefs defense.
Yeah, the Texans have won 5 games in a row against the Jaguars, Titans, Bills, Colts, Chiefs. And they have a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way. Cardinals, Raiders, Chargers, and Colts. And I think the Colts are the team we should talk next, Kurt, about.
Oh yeah, they won 8 of their last 10. That's what I was thinking of.
Do
Pretty
you
good.
want to tell us about what happened to your beloved Colts this weekend, Kurt?
Well, I mean, guys, I told you last week the absolute master lock it up, just bet of the century was to bet against the Colts going into Jacksonville. They cannot win there. And now, did I know that Daniel Jones was going to tear his Achilles? Of course I did. The Colts were going to Jacksonville. Like, that was a given. Why would we expect anything else? Like,
Did I know that?
Did I?
Obviously.
Yeah. Did I know that Riley Leonard was going to come in? And I mean, he actually didn't look terrible, but
Yeah,
they
he
couldn't really
looked
run a
okay.
Riley Leonard offense because they didn't have a backup quarterback. The NFL is allowed to have a third QB on the roster right now, just as an emergency QB. The Colts haven't been doing it all year. Like,
Tyler Warren.
you would think that maybe Brett Ripien, who was on the practice squad, they would call him up as the emergency QB, especially with Daniel Jones having a fractured fibula, but they haven't done it.
Yeah.
So they had Riley Leonard, and they're like, well, we really can't run him a whole bunch here because if we do, we don't know what might happen, and then we're down to no QBs.
I mean,
So,
would you rather have Brett Ripien or Tyler Warren at QB?
Brett Ripien. We saw what happened to the Broncos in the COVID year with no QB, and trust me, that is not as good as you might think it would be.
Yeah, but I think Tyler Warren is different than I'm gonna get the name wrong.
Kendall Hinton.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
was gonna
think
say
it would be
Kendall Hinton.
that different with, short time to prepare. He never played quarterback in the pros. He's a rookie. But Kurt, here's something that I think you did not know. We've talked a little bit about 2019 Kurt. Andrew Luck retires. He has a mental breakdown. He cries a little, whatever you want to call it. He's a sad, sad boy. What if I could go back to 2019 Kurt right now and tell you that in the future, a legendary quarterback is going to come back after 5 years retired and he's going to play for your Colts? And then I told you that man is Philip Rivers, Kurt. Kurt, what are they doing?
Yeah, I'm not really sure I understand the thought process here. Like, so for reference, Philip Rivers was up for the Hall of Fame ballot in 2026, guys. Like, he could go into the Hall of Fame. And I mean, the Colts aren't saying it, but we all know what's going to happen. Philip Rivers is starting this game. Riley
Yep.
Leonard is healthy, but Philip Rivers is starting this game on Sunday, guys. Like, let's not pretend anything different is going to happen. Philip Rivers is coming out of Alabama from coaching college, or not college football, high school football, and his 10 kids, or however many he has, he's going to come play in the NFL. And the Colts are playing the Seahawks. That's a good defense, guys. Like, this is elder abuse. Like, we need to get on the Colts for elder abuse. This guy is 44, and he might get killed by Devin Witherspoon.
He is a grandfather. He is twice as old as some of the guys he's playing with.
Yeah, I like, the thing is, I don't really understand the thought process here from the Colts. Like, are we trying to win? Like, do we think Philip Rivers is the best chance to win? Like, if that's the case, like, okay. But if we're not trying to win, like, why don't we just not try to win with Riley Leonard or Brett Ripien or like any old Joe Schmo we can pull off the street? We don't need to go get Philip Rivers to lose. I don't really understand what we're going for.
I do find it just hilariously like it's like the something you would do in Madden. Like you're just like, Philip Rivers is for some reason still in the free agent pool. Let's bring Philip Rivers in. Haha, this is hilarious. But on the other hand, like I kind of get it a little bit. Like again, not a huge Brett Ripken guy. Ripien. Like, is Philip Rivers a better quarterback than Brett Ripken? I think so.
But I mean, he might be better than Riley Leonard, but like, are you like? Well, that's what I'm saying. What's the goal here? It's like to make a playoff run? Like, you don't actually believe Philip Rivers is taking you. I don't think Philip Rivers is taking you on like a playoff run. Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't really understand the idea. Like, you're gonna make the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl with the ghost of Philip Rivers? Like, yeah, I get he's competitive, but his legs don't care how competitive he is when they're 44 years old.
Here's the goal, Kurt. It's not about winning or losing. Shane Steichen wants his buddy in the room. Shane Steichen and Philip Rivers have been talking on the phone all season. They've been exchanging stories about their quarterbacks. Phillips is clapping Steichen on the back when Daniel Jones is looking good. You did it, buddy. And then they've shared in the misery of Daniel Jones getting injured, trying to figure out what to do there. And finally, it's a crazy idea. It's a late night call. Steichen says, "Hey, you wouldn't ever come back." And Granddaddy Phil says, "You know what? I might. I've been feeling pretty good. 5 years. Give me some rest." And for Rivers, you said he was up for the Hall of Fame. But actually, if you look at who he was going to be competing against to get into the Hall of Fame, because the NFL Hall of Fame has a pretty limited set of people that can get in each year. So Phil is figuring, well, I'll just wait out this class of Brady, Eli Manning, all these guys, Matt Ryan, Ben Roethlisberger, who retired in the last few years. And then there's this big gap. I don't have to compete against like Russell Wilson. That's a closer competition. Phil gets a reset. He gets to boost his stats a little bit. Even if he gets 500 yards, it pushes him up the leaderboard, and he gets a reset. He's set.
He might die.
And
Did
what
you
a
hear
way to
that-
go. What a legacy to leave for his 10 grandchildren, children, all the legacy, the generations of Rivers is coming down the road. We'll be able to hear how Granddaddy Phil went out fighting.
Granddaddy Phil. Yeah, Devin Witherspoon, nickel blitz, first play of the game. But did you hear that Philip Rivers has been running the Colts offense for his like high school team
I
he's
did.
coaching all year? Like, they're best buddies. And I mean,
Well,
if Philip Rivers plays, this is must-watch television. Like, I want to see the guy that after 5 years, he's just coming out slinging the rock. Like, I'm here for it. I don't know. Well, actually, I think I do know how it's going to go, but I am here for it no matter what. And I do think there's something to be said for him resetting his Hall of Fame. Like, like he actually might have thought about it and been like, maybe I do want to go against again Russell.
Okay,
Like, who is going to be up? Like, nobody.
so fun fact here, though, and I don't know if you guys know this or not. I don't even know if it's been out there. I haven't seen it. I just happen to know this
Inside
because
source.
I'm a Colts fan. No, not inside source. Just a Colts fan. So, do you know where Philip Rivers is currently coaching high school football?
You said it was Alabama?
Fairhope, Alabama. What's Riley Leonard's hometown?
Is it Fairhope, Alabama?
I'm
It's
guessing
Fairhope,
Fairhope.
Alabama.
Be weird
So
if you
I don't like.
didn't tell me that.
Yeah, it's Portland, Oregon. Just no.
Guess where
Fairhope,
Riley
Alabama.
Leonard's hometown
So,
is?
like,
Cleveland, Ohio.
here's the thing. Like, maybe Philip Rivers knows Riley Leonard. Maybe he's worked with him in the offseason. I don't really know. Fine. Bring him in, like, to be a coach in the room to help Riley Leonard finish out the season. But again, why are we starting him? Like, I just don't get it. Unless maybe Philip Rivers has the inside scoop and he's like, guys, Riley Leonard is not it. I have seen this guy in Fairhope. He is trash. You cannot let him play. Bring me in, please. Like, I don't know what it is, but
Here's the other thing, Kurt. You told me a couple weeks ago when we were talking about putting these lower seeded college football teams into the playoffs. We got to give people hope. Riley Leonard, Brett Ripien, they weren't inspiring a lot of hope. Philip Rivers, legendary gunslinger, threw so many touchdowns to Antonio Gates. We're giving the season ticket holders, the Colts fans around America, hope.
maybe. I don't know. I mean, if the Colts come out and beat the Seahawks, this is maybe the best coaching performance ever by any coach. Like,
Coach
I
of the
don't
year
know.
is his.
Yeah.
Brett, how much hope do you have in your team? The Philadelphia Eagles lost to the Los Angeles Chargers 19 to 22, 22 to 19. Jalen Hurts threw 4 interceptions, had 5 turnovers total, gave up an interception and fumbled the ball on the same play, which it sounds like no quarterback has ever done before.
Yeah. It was a little bit funny when I watched that play. I was just very much like yeah, that sounds about right for the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles. It's just like whatever can happen on offense, it's probably going to happen. And even like when it was picked off, because it was a lineman or whatever that picked it off, and so he's running. I'm like, oh yeah, strip the ball, strips the ball, picks it up, and then he immediately fumbles. I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy. But the Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, I've said it for the past 3 weeks, they should not have been favored in these games. They're going to lose these games. But this is the first game this week against the Raiders where I actually feel like they might win because this is actually like a tier below the other teams. The other games they're just 100% going to lose. This game they actually might win. But to go back to this past game, this is the worst game I've ever seen Jalen Hurts play. Like it is. This is by far the worst game I've ever seen him play. The first time all season where it looks like it's on him rather than on the offense fully. The offense is still very poorly called, and as a Jalen Hurts defender, um, I do think that maybe Jalen Hurts is trying to like push some things, push envelopes open that this offense is just not allowing him to succeed. I do think it's funny that after Jalen Hurts has like a really bad game, he gets just absolutely flamed, and it happens to some extent. But like Patrick Mahomes will get a three interception game. It's kind of like, well, what you gonna do? I mean, he had some more drops, but I do think Jalen Hurts just gets unfairly hated for terrible games. But yeah, the Eagles are they're not going anywhere this season unless they make a change at play caller, which how are you not doing yet? Nick Sirianni, this is where like he is so unbelievably stubborn sometimes. Like the stubbornness in this building is insane. People have been telling him for years, how about we just use motion? They still just don't use motion. How about you just go under center? The numbers under center are way better than out of shotgun. Don't go under center very much. How about you just use play action a little bit? It's like the easy button in the NFL. don't use play action very much. It's a terrible, terrible offense, and it's very stubborn coaching. That's my rant.
Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of the Eagles this year, but I was telling Scott and Brett I have watched the last couple of games, and it's been a tough watch. Yeah, this Eagles offense does not look good at all. Not really that fun to watch. I mean, they're still going to make the playoffs, like you said. The Raiders aren't even starting Geno Smith. It's going to be Kenny Pickett out there. Like I
Former
think they can beat
Eagle.
Revenge game
former Eagles.
for the
Yes,
record.
so I think they can beat Kenny Pickett and the uh, Las Vegas Raiders, but they don't look good. I don't know about the Cowboys winning the division. The Eagles have a bit of a lead, and they play the Commanders twice. They've got a pretty easy schedule coming down the stretch here, but yeah, the Eagles don't look good. They
The
don't look
thing
like they're
is,
making a playoff run.
this defense is very, very good. Like, they are actually incredible. And so to have that good of a defense, like, you gotta imagine the Eagles have been saying all the right things, but you gotta imagine the locker room is just tearing itself apart. When you have a defense that has been as incredible as they've been, and they were incredible against the Chargers, they really were. But the offense just kept turning over the ball, and the amount of 3 and outs, Braden, man, is gonna need ice baths of every single day for the next year with the amount of he's punting the ball this year. Like, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Defense is always on the field.
Yeah. I mean, so we talked about the Eagles not looking good. There's a few other teams that haven't been looking good. We mentioned the Chiefs are in a position now where they're pretty much going to have to win out, and some other things are going to have to happen. Philip Rivers and the Colts are definitely going to have to lose a few games here. The Ravens are also going to need to win out. The Buccaneers have also slumped the last 2 weeks. They lost to the Saints last weekend, and then we're taping after the Thursday night football game where they lost to the Falcons. So that's two divisional losses in a row. And the Panthers, if they beat the Saints this week and then the Panthers beat the Buccaneers next week, the Panthers are in the driver's seat for the NFC South.
Yeah, that would be something if these trash Panthers end up winning the NFC South. Like that's I don't know. Yeah, the Bucks should win that division pretty easily, but they have not been good the past couple
Kirko
weeks. I still think
chains.
the Bucks will beat the Panthers, but I don't have a lot of faith in it. Not like I had before. So we'll see. I don't think any team from that division is making any noise in the playoffs, though. And like you said, the Ravens and Chiefs, we've kind of been saying it for a while, like, oh, they really need to win out from here to make the playoffs. I mean, now it is absolute back against the wall. If if either team doesn't win out, I don't think there's really any chance. I mean, the Ravens maybe have a little bit of a chance because that division, there isn't really anybody running away with it, so they may be able to take a loss or two and still win that division. But the Chiefs, I think they have to win out to make the playoffs. I don't think there's any other way.
Yeah, it's also interesting. The Dolphins are in a position here where they're not going to make the playoffs, but they could play spoiler for some of these other teams. Where if the Dolphins beat the Steelers next week, that gives the Bengals a chance to slip into the playoffs. If the Dolphins beat the Bengals, that keeps the Bengals pretty much out of it, but it makes the Steelers and the Ravens much more likely to get in. And then the Dolphins play the Buccaneers in week 17 in a game that could decide the NFC South.
Yeah. One thing I did want to mention was we'll talk about this team maybe a little bit more later on. But one team that will definitely not be making the playoffs, the Titans beat the Browns. And, Shador actually looked okay in this game. Cam Ward, I don't know. I've heard a lot of analysts say that, you know, there's a bad team. He's playing well behind the offensive line. I don't know. I just don't really see it with Cam Ward. I don't think he's looked that good. But Titans, what are we doing here, guys? You had the driver's seat to get the number 1 overall pick. You're the only team in the league with 1 win. Don't be messing around and getting wins here, okay? Like, you now have 2 wins and you have the 3rd overall pick, okay? It was in your hands. All you had to do was lose out. Nobody could catch you if you just lost out. No, you had to go win a game, and now you're counting on the Raiders and Giants to maybe lose another one so that you will actually be able to get that 1st overall pick. Like, come on, guys. Be better.
There,
Or be worse, actually.
They're having fun. They're giving the boys confidence. They're giving Cam Ward a chance in his rookie season to prove it that he can get some wins against one of the toughest defenses in football. The Browns, Myles Garrett got another couple sacks. He's going to set the record, but Cam Ward got his second win.
If I was Cam Ward, I'd say, hey, we'll lose them all. Go get me an offensive lineman, number 1 overall.
Yeah, well, he might want to keep his job and not risk them using the number 1 pick on a quarterback.
I mean, I would pull a forearm in his throwing end if I were him, if you know what I mean.
Pull a forearm in his throwing hand.
Like, coach, my forearm, it's hurting. I can't play anymore. I can't play out the season. I'm not risking my ACL for these boys. Like, what are we doing?
I-
All I do is play and get myself a worse player in the draft.
No,
My
no.
forearm's hurting.
That
My forearm's cramping.
that
Can't play.
leads to teammates not having confidence in you. You got to show that you're willing to fight it out. It's your rookie year. It matters so much. Maybe in the second year, if it's looking rough, then you start to waver a little bit. But
You
rookie
just gotta
year,
fake a forearm injury for 5 weeks.
no.
Ah, my shoulder. Ice my shoulder. Oh no, it's hurting so bad. I can't.
I don't know. He might not have to fake anything. He's getting beat up back there. He might not be much faking. He might just be able to be like, yeah, guys, I'm getting killed.
Boom. Next sack. Fall on your shoulder. Ah, so hurt.
Are there any other games?
MRI looks fine. It's not.
Are there any other games from last weekend that we want to discuss, or should we move into our Week 15 picks?
Well, that Washington Commanders defense did decide to make J.J. McCarthy look like a competent NFL quarterback.
It's true.
So that's a Washington Commanders situation there.
Still
Washington
didn't do anything
Commanders
for my
situation
Justin
indeed.
Jefferson on my fantasy team, but
We can move to our Week 15 picks then. I decided to take the team that is looking strong in the NFC. They currently are the number 1 seed. The Los Angeles Rams at home are playing the Detroit Lions. I'm picking the Rams to keep their run going. They're coming off a couple weeks ago. They had the loss against the Panthers, and then they absolutely stomped the Cardinals this past weekend. I'm picking them to maybe not stomp the Lions, but definitely show the Lions why the Rams deserve to be thought of as the top team in the NFC.
So, fun fact, do you guys know who has the most points scored of any team in the NFL?
It's the
I'm
Lions.
gonna guess the Lions.
It is the Detroit Lions. So, could be an interesting game. I mean, the Rams defense has been decent this year. The offense has been really good up until the Rams decided to go lose the Panthers. I still haven't gotten over that loss. That was, I don't know, a 10-point underdog wins the game, kills my pick. What are we doing here? But I like the Rams in this one too. I think they're a good team. I think they're probably the best team in the NFC right now, either them or the Seahawks. So I would also pick the Rams.
Yeah, I mean Rams are 6-point favorites. I think it's pretty slam dunk Rams here.
Well, the game that I am picking is the Buffalo Bills and Scott's New England Patriots. Now, the Patriots have the stranglehold in that division, and the Buffalo Bills have been up and down all year. Like we said, they almost just lost to Joe Burrow and the Bengals. But I'm counting on Josh Allen having a Josh Allen game and trying to show the Patriots who the real owners of this division have been for the past few years. Patriots are trying to take it back to the Tom Brady years where they ran this division. I think the Buffalo Bills come out and tell them, "Hey, not so fast. We've got another year at the top of the division here before maybe Drake May can make something happen, but I don't think this is the year." So I think the Bills will put the Patriots in their place and win this one.
I got to pick against you. You said they're my Patriots. They're at home. Drake May is going to seal his MVP case, and he's going to beat Josh Allen and the Bills and lock them into first place in the AFC East.
Yeah, the Patriots or no, I'm sorry, the Bills are winning this game. The Patriots have just the cupcakiest of the cupcakiest schedules. I mean, it is insane. They did beat the Bills earlier in the year, but
They're coming off a
yeah,
bye.
I gotta go. I gotta go Bills here. This team is not good. It's not, and you actually won't be able to convince me they're good unless they win the Super Bowl. that is the moment I will say maybe this Patriots team is good. Because then I will, if they win the AFC Championship, I will say, yeah, the AFC is trash. Obviously, terrible.
Well, let's talk about
Obviously
a
terrible.
trash,
There's
terrible game, Brett, in the
no
AFC.
good teams in the AFC.
I look at the top of the AFC.
Looks great to me.
Is there good teams up there? The Bills. The Bills are up there.
The Patriots.
Yeah.
The Texans are
Patriots.
at number
The Broncos.
7.
Actually, the Texans. The Texans are a good team. I will say that.
I don't know that offense.
Yeah, we
Yikes.
don't need it. It's not the Eagles' offense. As long as it's not the Eagles' offense, it's a decent coached offense. Not a great coached offense. It's okay though. Yeah. I'm taking the Chargers over the Chiefs, and again, I'll say it. We gotta stop doing this. The Chiefs are favored, I think, 3 points in this game. The Chiefs are not good. The Chiefs are not the Chiefs of old. They keep losing games. We gotta stop thinking they're gonna win these games. So I am picking the only underdog of the week, unlike my cowardly brothers. I am picking the Chargers over the Chiefs. It is going to be close, though. I will say that.
The Chiefs are at home. They got to win out. I'm picking the Chiefs here. The Chargers didn't look that good against the Eagles. It was a fluky game. Chiefs by a mile.
I didn't even realize the Bills are favored against the Patriots.
Yeah,
in
like
Gillette Stadium.
1 point, 1.5 points.
Oh, okay. I didn't actually look at the line before I picked that game, but I guess that makes yeah, maybe that makes sense.
All the Patriots are cheeks.
So yeah, I do agree with you. Like, this Chiefs team is not the Chiefs team it's been the past few years. I think I'm ready to admit that it's just not quite the same. You know, they've had some bad breaks, had some turnover luck not go their way, but just in general, maybe they need a reset year. Like, I don't think this is it for this Chiefs dynasty. Like, I think they'll come back, but I think this might just not be their year. They need a year off. You know, Patrick Mahomes, maybe he's just sick of playing in the playoffs. He needs a little bit of extra time off this year. So, I don't know. That Chargers team, I still don't know what to make of them either. Maybe I'm just not sold on any team in the NFL right now.
The AFC.
But
you're thinking of the AFC, yes.
Yeah, maybe. But I do think Steve Spagnuolo will heat up Justin Herbert with some interesting pressures and make that offensive line of his see ghosts or just see each other and block each other. But that would be about the only thing they can block. So I don't know. Can I pick neither team to win?
No. Tie.
Well,
if you want to call a tie, be my guest, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going for a tie, and then I'm saying that in overtime they go to one of our overtime rules to break the tie. That's my pick. If I have to, I guess I'll default to who has a better quarterback. We're going with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs for this one. But to wrap up the podcast,
we got our first email.
We no longer can say that you can be our first emailer because we got an email. So I'm going to read you our first email here, and we can take a second on it maybe. It says, "Hello, me bros. Big fan of the program here. Former housemate of Middleborough, Kurt. Wanted to see if you guys could do an exercise on the show called Fixing the Tennessee Titans so I can email it to our dumb expletive owner. Not actually going to send it to her. But if you want to do it me bro by bro or create a me bro brain trust to complete this exercise, assuming we have the number 1 pick again, who would you draft? Is anyone in the upcoming draft class a savior? Do you believe in Cam Ward moving forward? Any keepers, or are you trading players who are nearing free agency? Is our offense doomed? Is our defense doomed? You understand my line of questioning. What will it take to fix this godforsaken team? Would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you. Zane Glass, proud Vanderbilt supporter / Titans hate watcher." Now, I will say, just to preface this, we can maybe talk about the Titans a little bit. We will in the offseason, probably coming into the draft, especially for the teams at the top of the draft, maybe do a little bit of fixing this team, where we think they should go in the draft, what to look for this team going forward in free agency, all that. So we will do definitely some fixing the Tennessee Titans, but we can talk about it at least a little briefly here to give Zane something to watch for the end of the year. But in answer to your questions, you're assuming they have the number 1 pick, but like we said, the Titans went out and won a game, unfortunately.
You're Titans. You're Titans.
They went ahead and tightened
Win
it up,
streak.
so they might not have the number 1 pick.
And didn't it make you feel so hopeful? Wasn't it nice to see the boys
Don't
play?
you feel good? Don't you feel good?
And in answer to your question, is your offense doomed? Yes. Is your defense doomed?
Probably.
Yes. What will it take to fix this godforsaken team? I don't know. A meteor destroying the Earth and like a new one starting? I don't know.
A new owner? Probably. You could say that about half the bad teams, let's be honest.
Honestly, all I think that this team needs is a good head coach. Someone like Mike Vrabel.
Where do you
Sorry,
get a Mike
Zane.
Vrabel these days?
I don't know. I sure wouldn't
Sorry,
get
I had
rid
to
of him
bring
if
that
I
up,
had him.
Zane. But yeah, someone like Mike Vrabel. Is there a savior in this upcoming draft? No, there isn't. Arvell Reese would be a great pick for them in the range they're in. He's a great linebacker. Probably is going to play on the edge. He's really good. He's not going to save your team. I do like Denard Wilson as a DC. He's probably going to get fired when a new coach comes in. So we'll dive more into it in this offseason.
Jesus was the savior of the world, and he might not be able to save this Titans team.
They're souls. They're on-field play. Jesus ain't helping.
If you could draft Jesus, maybe that would help.
Taking Jesus 1 overall.
I mean, have you seen the Titans draft history? Again, we'll go into it more.
We don't need to go into Titans draft
No,
history.
we don't need
Brad.
to go into that right
Let's
now.
call it for this week.
I'm not gonna
Isaiah
do it, but it is
Wilson in the
bad.
first round, like not even playing an NFL
It's
snap,
bad.
is
No,
very
is
bad.
rough.
It-
And then
All that is to say,
Caleb Farley. Yeah.
we appreciate Zane. Thanks for the email. If you want to be our second emailer, that spot's still open. We will read and we'll answer your question on the podcast. Keep it family friendly. Send us an email at mebroshow@gmail.com. Other than that, we're all over the internet. Anywhere you get your podcasts, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram. Thanks for listening to the Me Bros.
See ya.